I trapped my friends in a bedrock prison, but that's not all. I trapped 100 subscribers. This is the 100 player prison. On the outside, it looks easy to escape, but on the inside, all the rooms are made of bedrock, making it impossible to break out of. But not for my viewers. See, my viewers are a little bit smarter. It didn't even start yet. Alright guys, this is a 99 player prison, and the escape starts now. Right off the bat, Grok spawned in on a crafting table, floating above lava. He was surrounded by lava on both sides, and behind him was a bedrock wall. While he was looking at it, he noticed on the roof a bunch of dispensers. They went all the way down the hallway to the other side. While he was looking over there, he noticed something, a doorway, but it was really far away and impossible to get to right now. Every other player in the prison was in the exact same situation. That's when they started trying to figure out what they could do. Grox used F5 to see if there was an item hidden under the crafting table in an item frame, but there wasn't. He tried to see if there was anything he could drop down onto, but again, it was just lava. But Grox has watched enough of my videos to know that there was probably something hidden in the lava, and that's when this happened.
Oh, let's go!
Grox found a chest with 24 iron, and he wasn't the only one.
Oh, nice!
Yes!
But they didn't just find iron, there was also a message. Lava dropping soon, get across. Grox took the iron, and that's when he realized what was happening. The droppers were gonna drop lava if he didn't find some way to get to the hallway on the other side. But he only had 24 iron, so he started looking around for other items, but he couldn't find anything. That's when he realized he was gonna have to find his way across with just this iron. It seemed impossible, but there actually was a way. He took the iron and crafted iron bars. See, for just 6 iron ingots, you got 16 blocks, and that would be just enough to bridge across. It was really the only good option to craft, and I knew my viewers would figure it out because they're really smart. Dear God, he made iron blocks. Okay, this is an improvement. He made it 6 blocks.
Okay, 24 iron. Weird. Almost like it's exactly the amount to make iron armor. Now what?
Wow, someone actually managed to go 0 blocks. Why aren't you making anything with your iron?
What iron?
Luckily, most of the players had figured out they needed iron bars and were having some success, but after they got about halfway, they saw this. The lava had started dropping. This made them speed up, and some of them couldn't handle the pressure.
Bro, what?
Oh my god. I'm gonna climb.
Nah, I think I'm cooked. Hey, let's go!
Grox had successfully beaten the first room, and he wasn't the only one. A good amount of people actually did make it through. We went from 99 players down to 82. Now that he was safe, Grox started taking a look around. This hallway was short and had nothing in it but a hole to the next room. He looked around to make sure he wasn't missing anything, and he wasn't. So after a little bit, he went ahead and dropped in. This other room was also extremely empty. There was just 2 holes in the ground. One was filled with lava, and obviously he couldn't go in there, so he went to check the other one, but that was filled with lava too. He was confused. There seemed to be literally nothing to do in this room. But this room wasn't as simple as it looked. And just like last time, Grox wasn't alone. Everybody was in the exact same situation as him. Everybody was extremely hesitant because it seemed like no matter what choice you made, you would die. Well, everybody except one person. Let me introduce you to Eyes. For some reason, 5 seconds after entering the room, he just decided to jump into the left hole. I have no idea what motivated this, but he actually survived and got the right answer. But not everybody else was as stupid as to just gamble on a 50-50. They wanted to try to figure out the solution. But the situation was pretty confusing. The room was completely empty and both the holes looked the same. But they just kept looking around trying to find any clue. Grox even turned on hitboxes to see if there was a secret chest or item, but there wasn't. After enough time, a few people got desperate and tried to be like Eyes, but it didn't work out as good for them. And so the people who weren't willing to risk it just felt stuck. So I decided to give them a clue. I told them that they should use F5 for a whole new perspective. And while this might seem like a joke, it was actually a very useful clue, and Grox knew what I meant right away.
Oh my god, I know what it is.
There's a glitch in Minecraft where if you put your FOV to the max and go in F5, you can actually clip and look through walls. Funny enough, I learned this from Canadian. At first, Grox saw nothing, but then he saw this. Signs, and one of the signs said the word safe on it. On its own, he didn't know what this meant, but the whole room to the right of him had signs with the word safe on them. That's when he got an idea. He ran to the other side of the room and checked that side, and he saw different signs. These ones said danger. Instantly, he knew what was going on. The hole closer to that side would kill him, and the hole on the left side was safe. So he jumped in. And he was right. Every room was different, but by using this trick, people started to figure out which side of their room was safe and passing to the next level. And by the end of room 2, we'd gone from 82 players to 67. Now, since Eyes was the first one done with the last room, he was the first one to see the sign. Lower number is an advantage, 1 per room, door locks behind you. He walked out and saw a room with the number 22 and a locking mechanism in front. So he went to the left and saw room number 21. He instantly started running to get the lowest number he could, and it was 1 because he was the first one done. When he went in, the door locked behind him just like it said. He was trapped. He saw water below him and nothing else to do, so he dropped down. Everybody started making their way through to find the door with the lowest number that they could get, until it was just Ebbo left, who finished last and had to go all the way to the 67th door. So, once everybody was in their chamber, they started dropping down into the next room. Right off the bat, Grok started looking around. He could see that the room was split in half by a pool of lava. Also, this pool of lava was exactly 5 blocks long, meaning he wouldn't be able to jump to the other side. He could also see some kind of room around the corner, but he wasn't able to look inside of it. The only other thing he saw was 3 holes in the roof like the one he'd come out of, and that's it. He had to start figuring out how he was going to get to the other side, but that's when this happened. A player fell into his room, and a few seconds later, another player fell in. All throughout the prison, people started forming these groups of 3, and they were going to have to work together to beat this room. Grox's team didn't have a plan of what they were going to do yet, but I will show you the first team that figured out how to get across. It was Bowler SF2's team. And just like Grox, they realized they had to get across a 5-block jump. And that sounds impossible, right? But they had a plan. Bowler got behind his friend Brojack, and right when he was going to jump across, Bowler was going to hit him in the back to give him extra momentum to launch him to the other side. And it worked. Now Brojack was able to explore the room he couldn't reach before. But that's when he saw this. Only 2 of you can move on. He started to look around and he understood what the sign meant. There was only 2 exits into other rooms, meaning one of them wasn't supposed to make it past this point. Now this was a problem because he was friends with Bowler SF2, so they made a plan. They tricked their teammate into thinking Bowler was really good at parkour and he needed to go to the other side to help solve a puzzle. And it worked. Ethan agreed. So Bowler started running, and then he jumped and Ethan punched him across. Their evil plan had worked. Bowler and Brojack were both going to be moving on this round. But their trick came at a cost. Ethan was left alone on the other side, and with no teammates left and no way to get across, he had to jump in the lava. But not every team was as evil as this. On this team, the pig player decided to volunteer to hit them across, and they decided to practice.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Go. You didn't move.
Wait, I'm lagging.
Oh god, we're cooked.
A player named Claster decided to spin a wheel, and whoever it landed on had to stay behind.
Yeah, 33% chance. Well,
And somehow this team decided to let Grox be the first puncher.
Please forgive me if I mess this up.
3,
Okay.
2, 1.
Oh! You went on my left? No!
No!
I'm sorry.
Oh, what the
Oh
heck?
my god.
Grox,
I'm sorry.
you fumbled it!
But what honestly surprised me was how people became friends. A lot of people offered to hit the other people across and stay behind.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
There we
Okay,
go.
nice.
Alright. You guys got this. Goodbye, my friends. Lock in.
Oh, God.
Now, do you remember the sign from earlier that said it was an advantage to have a lower number? There was 2 reasons. One, the better players had lower numbers, so you'd have better teammates. And you could end up like Evbo, who had no teammates because he was last and had to just be eliminated. By the end of this round, we had dropped down to just 41 players remaining. And even crazier than that, somehow Grox was still in. He dropped down and saw another room. Right off the bat, he saw a hole that probably took him to the 5th puzzle. He also saw a hole in the wall. Inside was a sheep named Chill Dude, and he was just vibing. There was also a hallway that led further in. Grox followed it and he saw a back room where he could see Chill Dude separated by some glass. He could also see a wooden pressure plate connected to redstone, but he couldn't tell what it did. He went back to see if Chill Dude was able to walk onto the pressure plate, but he was locked in by a block, so he wasn't going to go on his own. Grox went to see if there was anything else he hadn't seen, and that's when he found a dispenser up in the roof. He tried to jump and reach what was in it, but he couldn't. It was a little bit too high. Clearly, somehow, Grox had to activate the pressure plate, but he couldn't figure anything out. And after he looked around and found nothing, there was only one thing he could think to do that might help. He started murdering Chill Dude. He was hoping by killing him he would activate something or something would happen, but nothing did. He went around to the back and he could see his items sitting there on the ground, but there was no way for him to reach them. He tried to run to where they were to see if they would phase through the wall into his inventory, but they wouldn't. He tried to see if there was anything he could see he couldn't see before now that the sheep was dead, but there was nothing. It seemed like it didn't do anything at all. That was until Grox went to the back to look at the items again and had a big brain moment. He realized that the EXP orb was following him. If he went to the right, the orb would go to the right. If he went to the left, the orb would go to the left. And that might not sound like a big deal, but the orbs will follow you even if you're on the other side of a wall. And that's not all. They can activate pressure plates, so the answer was obvious. He ran to the front of the room and stood right next to the pressure plate. At first, he thought it wasn't going to work, but then he heard a noise, and it activated the dispenser, dropping him a slow falling potion. Now, all Grox had to do was drink the potion, and he could safely make his way to the bottom of this room and onto the next one. But when he got down here, all he found was a locked door. And nothing else. For now, he had to wait. The room he just beat was the hardest in the prison. People lost in two ways. If you killed the sheep and didn't figure it out in 5 minutes, the experience would despawn. Or this could happen.
Oh,
Kill your
shoot.
sheep and don't pick up the XP. Kill your sheep and don't pick up the XP. And you just picked it up. You just picked it up. Okay.
Oh, the XP was supposed to come over here onto the trapdoor.
Like I said, this puzzle was hard. It brought us from 45 players down to 20. But before we go to the next room, I want to tell you about something cool. Now, some of you guys might be watching this competition and feel sad that you didn't get a chance to play in it. But I'm announcing another competition with a prize of $1,000 that's free to enter and you can all play in. Let me explain. I'm partnering with Metal. A lot of you might already know, but Metal's a free recording and clipping software you can use during your game. So if you hit a hype moment like this, you can save it with the press of a button. And they're helping me run this event for you guys. All you have to do is install Metal and record yourself hitting a trick shot and upload it with the hashtag SeaWatt Gaming. And I'm gonna pick the one I think is the best, and they're gonna get $1,000. I'm also gonna pick 4 runner-ups, and they're all gonna get $200. Again, it's completely free to enter, but you guys have some tough competition.
I bet. Open up. I'm gonna need you for a trick shot.
Grox, what are you doing?
My trick shot's gonna be sniping the chicken off the villager's head without hitting him. And to make it more extreme, I'm doing it blindfolded.
Wait, Grox, you don't have to do this bit.
What happened? Did I get him? Oh, let's go! I win!
You guys have till November 13th to upload your submissions, and I'm gonna watch and comment on every single one. Now let's get back to the prison escape. We had left off going from 45 players to 20. This is where things were getting serious. All the final 20 players were trapped at the bottom of these pits, behind the netherite block. That's until this happened. All of a sudden, Erosity's door opened. He was able to move freely out of his cell. He started exploring, and that's when he started seeing other cells just like his. He made his way down a long hallway and saw 2 paths. One was blocked by a netherite block, and the other one wasn't, so he went and explored that. That's when he saw a room he was able to drop down into, and with no other options, he did it. He landed in a very weird room. To his left was a sign that said take with a red button. To his right was a sign that said keep with the blue button. Also, there was an identical setup across from him. He also had behind him a dispenser with a message, diamond equals safe, dirt equals death. And that was unsettling because he had a piece of dirt in his. The only other thing he noticed was that he was standing on a netherite block. But before he could figure out what he was supposed to do in this room, this happened. A player dropped in across from him. Just like Erosity, this player's cell door had opened. But when he got to the end of the long hallway, the left path was open and the right path was shut. Now they didn't know it, but they were about to play a game, and only one of them was gonna leave alive. Here's how it worked. One player was given an item, and then his opponent could ask him questions to try to figure out what it is. Then he could choose if he wants to take it or let his opponent keep it. If you end up with a diamond, you move on to the next room, but if you end up with dirt, you're dead and out of the prison.
What's in that chest?
I mean, I'm not gonna tell you, bruh.
Come on, be truthful with me.
Yeah, I'm being truthful. I'm just not gonna tell you.
Sunfighter thought Erosity was suspicious, so he trusted his gut and let him keep it. Because he had the dirt, he was dropped and killed. Before he could even think about what happened, round 2 started.
Hello?
And this time he had the dirt. He had to convince Ned to take it or he'd die.
So, what's in there?
It's dirt.
It is.
Yes, it is.
I think I want to steal it.
Unfortunately for Ned, he chose the dirt and was killed. It was now on to round 3. Sunfighter was 2-0, and this time it was different. This time he had the diamond. If he could convince his opponent to let him keep it, he would be moving on to the next round.
So, what is it?
It's dirt.
It's dirt?
Yes.
Alright. And I'm gonna believe you, so I'm not gonna take it.
And Sunfighter got extremely lucky. His opponent let him keep it. He was dropped, and this time he landed in water because he had a diamond. He could explore the next room. He was our first one to move on. As he went up the staircase, he saw rooms just like before, so he quickly ran to the end and grabbed the first one. Only 10 people were going to be moving on from this puzzle, and he had just secured his spot. Now, a few rounds later, it was Grox's turn to try to secure a spot. He had nothing in his dispenser, which means he was going to have to try to figure out what his opponent had and take it. But he had come up with a strategy he thought was unbeatable, so he wasn't worried at all.
There's dirt in the chest.
There's dirt? Okay, put it on your mom.
I'll put it on my mom.
Okay, so you just put it on your mom that there's dirt in the chest. Okay? Then I'm gonna leave it.
Grox's strategy was pretty good. It helped him avoid dying to the dirt, and he was able to drop his opponent. But something weird happened. His opponent didn't die. And that's when Grox realized he was tricked. His opponent did have a diamond.
No! No! That was on your mom, bro! What? That's Hey! I'll take the L. I'll take the L, but
go to the next room,
crazy.
you sick freak.
Hey,
go to the next room, you sick
hey,
freak.
I'm gonna pray for your mom tonight.
Now Grox had to play another round, but this time was different. This time he had dirt in his dispenser. He was gonna have to trick his opponent into taking the dirt, or else he would be eliminated.
What's in the chest?
A diamond's in the chest.
Ooh. Put it on your mom that there's diamonds in the chest.
Ah, I knew that was gonna happen! I'm not putting it on my mom, because I have morals.
Sadly, Grox was eliminated. As the rounds continued, more and more winners started filling up until the final one took his place. We were down to 10 players left. One by one, they all dropped into the next puzzle. The first thing they noticed was 4 target blocks on the other side of the room. Then they noticed some flowing water to their right, but they were trapped inside a bedrock, so they couldn't access it. There was also a crafting table, but for now, they had nothing to craft with. Eventually, they saw this, a sign that said items spawn when all players are ready, with a netherite block next to it. And that seemed to be it in the room. That's until Pizza used F5, and he saw this sign. The first 4 who hit any 2 target blocks advanced to finals. Only 4 people were going to be moving on. And as they were processing this, the final player entered his room. And a little bit after he got there, this happened. The netherite block slid up by a piston. Inside was items, gravel, 3 cobwebs, 8 bamboo, and a feather. If they wanted to be in the top 4, they were going to have to work fast. They had to activate these target blocks with just the items in their inventory. Luckily, Pizza figured out a plan fast. He placed the gravel down in the water and started breaking it. That way the water would bring the block back to him, and eventually he got a piece of flint. Next, he needed sticks, so he used the bamboo to craft 4 sticks. Finally, he needed string, but without a sword, how was he going to turn the cobwebs into string? Well, he placed it in the flowing water, which would destroy it and carry the string into his inventory. Now he knew what to do. He crafted a bow, and then he used his remaining parts to craft 4 arrows. He had to make sure he landed 2 of these shots. He shot the closest target and the easiest target first, and he hit it easily. Then he took some time and lined up on the second target, and when he hit it, he was dropped into the final room. We started this prison with 99 subscribers, and we were down to just 4. Pizza, Potion, James, and Eyes. That's right, Eyes. The guy who earlier in the prison had taken a 50-50 gamble on the second room made it all the way into the top 4. And to be honest, I was rooting for him. Now before they started this room, I told them one thing. It was a race. The person who finished first would gain a massive advantage. And then I let them begin. Right off the bat, Eyes noticed a barrel on the wall. Inside was a soul sand and 8 gas tiers. The next thing he noticed was a floating piece of ice and a crafting table on the wall. He was pretty sure he knew what he had to make. He started exploring the rest of the room and he found a sign that said prison exit above, but it was really high in the air. And that's when he noticed a snowball. Then he had an idea, and he didn't want to waste any time. He went into the crafting table and used his items to make a dried ghast. He was going to make a happy ghast, but he needed water. Now, to turn ice to water, you need a block underneath it, so he placed the dried ghast below it and then broke it. Then he picked up the dried ghast and put it in the source block, getting the advancement Stay Hydrated, which meant the dried ghast would turn into a happy ghast, but it was going to take a while. That's why he wanted to start it early. Then he ran up here and got the snowball. See, you could use the snowball to make the happy ghast follow you. He noticed a room on the other side of this jump, but he wasn't able to make the jump and he was separated by lava, but he was pretty sure he knew what he needed to do. After waiting a while, the dried ghast turned into a gas sling. this was its first stage. Now he was going to have to wait even longer for it to become a happy gas. But now it would follow the snowball. So he started guiding it to the edge to get it in the exact position that he wanted. And once it was there, he just waited. And after enough time, the gasling turned into a full-blown happy gas. He carefully pushed the happy gas back over the lava he needed to cross. Then he ran as fast as he could so the gas wouldn't move. Once he was at the top of the staircase, he was now able to jump on the happy gas head to get across this gap. Inside was a chest, and he immediately recognized what he had to craft. He thought about breaking the chest, but he didn't want to waste time. So he dropped down onto the gas and carefully dropped back down into the main area. He ran as fast as he could to the crafting table and used the items he just collected to craft a harness. Now he would be able to fly the happy gas. He ran back to the happy gas and put on the harness and got on. He was making great time. Now he just had to hope he was the first one to the exit. Sadly for him, Potioncraft had beaten him here, but he was stuck. There was no exit at the top of this room, and he didn't know what to do. And neither did Eyes. But unknown to them, they were actually both too late. James had beaten both of them. At the start of his run, he immediately grabbed the items and wasted no time. He placed the soul sand underneath the ice and broke it to get water. Then he went to the crafting table and instantly crafted a dried ghast and put it in the water. This gave him a massive time advantage over everyone else. He was able to get to the end before all of them, and unlike the other two, he was able to solve this puzzle. He knew by flying your happy ghast into the roof, you were actually able to get off and glitch through, and he did this to access a secret room. Now he was able to go up this staircase, and at the top he found a room with a chest and 4 hallways. In the chest was 6 bedrock, and he didn't know what that was for. Then he continued down the hallway and saw a sign. The sign said, "Anyone who escapes splits $1,000. Exit below." James looked down. He could see the exit of the prison, and he now realized what the bedrock was for. If he wanted, he could block off the other 3 players' exits and keep the money all for himself. And that's what a lot of people would have done. But James didn't do that. He escaped the prison with everybody else. The bedrock prison has been defeated.